thing would be to have operational prayer care share workers pervasively throughout our counties, our zip codes, and our neighborhoods. So that's the big goal, of course, and we're starting from scratch pretty much. So if you're starting from zero, there's only one way to go up. Okay, so flipping through the slideshow here, Mike. There we go. Okay, so yeah, two things. We're going to map it and we're going to score it. These are our standard emergency procedures. Hopefully you all got the alert today, and of course we have alerts go out through ReadyND on Twitter. And if you know how to set your texting capability up, then you can receive that tweet directly to your phone as a text. And if you don't, then that's something to do for the next exercise or the next emergency. So we did check-in today. We've got a check-in booth right at the front door of the UB Cafe. I think maybe Mike showed you that earlier. We're convening. We said at 9 a.m. and it's now 9:30. So this is, we'll capture that, Kathy, for the hot wash. What do you do when you can get together? We're going to pray. We already did that. We're going to assess whatever the current situation is. And then we're going to do planning, come up with a quick plan, and then we're going to go execute and agree to reconvene at 11 o'clock sharp. Okay, assess what? Well, we've talked about that. We're going to try to find out what's going on out in the neighborhood. And then secondly, what are our capabilities? That is, what capabilities do we have to do something about it? Okay, so in a typical incident action plan, we're going to do potentially three main things. We're going to communicate out, especially communicate out the message of hope that Christ offers in our metro area. And then secondly, today we're trying something new called the Prayer Care Share Hub. So you got this pervasive thing where we're trying to get out throughout the our 9-county area, and then you've got the centralized things that you all somewhat represent, and Dave Volker will be leading the Prayer Care Share Hub piece of this. You guys will be back to the back of the room, back there. And thirdly, we might actually have operations where somebody actually physically goes out and does something. Otherwise, we're simply at the mercy of the disorganized church, although today, folks, it's pretty organized over at the fairgrounds. I heard a number, at least among our media folks, of 200 churches working together on that. Who knew? And again, that's the problem. Who knew? So anyway, but that's awesome. God knew. That's who. Okay, so that's a typical incident action plan. Here would be the org chart. For those of you who aren't familiar, today isn't necessarily the day you're going to learn about that, but hopefully you would be able to observe it. And you see there are two main streams. I'm really going to talk about operations in particular, because I'll be doing operations and thinking geographically, while Dave Volker is doing operations support through a Prayer Care Share Hub. So again, that two streams of the way to approach a city. Hands-on, tactical, in your face, down at the very neighborhood level. For those of you online, you know Lynn Corey. So he's like the consummate neighborhood leader in California, in the LA area. But then, what can you do in a centralized function? Well, you can pray, you can care, you could put up a care call line, for instance, and you can have chaplains, and we have one today who's ready, if necessary, to go out on scene and share the good news with folks. So, that's what a Prayer Care Share Hub can do, and it can help others learn throughout our metro area. All right, I think we just have, and these are kind of enumerated, so if you don't know how to get to the slideshow, again, we posted it inside our Facebook core group. So again, that's kind of the main thing that you need to know is how to get to that core group where all the key information is. In an emergency, you're at the mercy of the internet's worldwide explosion of information. So it's really important that you know how to focus. And the focus is, again, publicly, it's on our Twitter account, ReadyND, and privately, it's in our Facebook group. Okay. Any final briefings? I already mentioned the safety briefing about real-world emergency. So if there is, in fact, any kind of substantial real-world emergency, that's going to get called out, and we're going to stop the exercise. Is that clear? Any other safety security kind of briefing? Okay. Last second communication briefing before we go execute is we're going to stay in touch. Now, that's going to be pretty easy for those of us inside the room. Folks who are in touch out on the Voss line, of course, they just have to be on the conference call. It's possible that communications could break down, but we will always try to be in touch from this room up to the internet where these guys are on the conference call. In a real world emergency, a lot of times you can try to send an alert out and no phones, so of course texting usually works, but even without that, a worst case, no communication, whatever, what are we going to do, Mike?
Paper and run.
We're going to paper, but how are we even going to know where to go and connect?
We already pre-established.
We pre-established. We have a default location for us is the Unleavened Bread Cafe. Okay? Okay, that's it. We're going to go execute, come back. We're going to demobilize at 11 a.m. Don't go by that clock. It's not anywhere close up on the wall. So use your own pieces. And I'll tell you, the people who are going to moderate the hot wash are the folks on the Voss call. Because these are kind of the national experts. They're real interested in what we either can accomplish or can't accomplish with this sort of an exercise. So you'll get to meet Kathy Branzel at that time. And Kurt Jordan is with the Christian Emergency Network nationally. He's the PIO. And Phil Migliorati is also with Love 2020 and is the head of the National Pastor's Prayer Network. So we kind of got some heavy hitters watching in. So they're praying for us. They've been praying for us. And this is going to be a blessing. All right. Any last second questions? If not, you can catch us offline and do it. If you guys just kind of stay in order, I will quick run around and just make sure that you know which table you're going to go to. Okay? And for those of you on the Voss call, I'm going to mute myself.